Robert Zinni here for Five Senses. Today, our host is Dr. Liz Frost, who talks about her community organizing and charity work through multiple organizations throughout town. So sit back and enjoy our conversation. Welcome back to Five Senses. Dr. Liz Frost is with me today, and we'll be talking about her charity work and all the different organizations that she's a part of. Liz, thanks for joining the show. How you been?
Good. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. We've been working a little closely together this year, getting to know each other in the various roles we have. So I'm just glad we got you on to the show, and we can find out a little bit more of what you do around our community.
Thank you for having me.
So you are a part of the American Legion, the American Legion Riders, the Fraternal Order of Eagles here in town, Oddfellows. You work at Emory-Riddle. You do a lot for this community. So how did your want to be involved in the community or inspiration to help others come from?
Sure. It really started when I was a little girl. I grew up in a very small town back in Pennsylvania, and my mom had always been involved in charitable organizations. So my drive really started when I was a little girl. And then when I got to college, it really just continued from there. I was really involved in some charitable organizations back in the Baltimore area. And when I came to Prescott, I just really wanted to keep going and give back. As I received a lot of charity growing up in a single parent home, and I just really wanted the opportunity to give back to other folks.
Nice. And you're doing that with the various organizations in town. So before you came on here, we were talking about the fish principles. I would like to touch on about that because that struck chord with me. So could you explain that?
I sure can. So the four basic principles of the fish philosophy are very basic. There's the be present, which means just be active, be present when you're around others. Don't be around and focus on other things that are going on. Really stay in tune with who you're talking with and who you're around. Make people's day. And it could be something just as simple as, Zinni, I really like that necklace you're wearing today.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
You're very welcome.
That just made me happy.
See?
Okay.
Also, choose your attitude.
Okay.
Choosing your attitude when you first wake up in the morning is so important because that's something that you have control over. And when you choose your attitude, that really sets your tone for the entire day. And when you choose a positive attitude, that's really going to spill over to other individuals. And by golly, have fun. You gotta have fun, whether in your personal life or in the office. You've got to love what you do. Right.
And what you said, those four main principles, being in the moment, making other people's day, the other two, that's very important, especially having positivity, because I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes I feel like I can absorb people's energy. And when you have that negative person in the room, I always focus on that for some reason. Do you pick on other people's energy?
I do. And that's why I really try to spin that around.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because that's how you can actually make somebody's day, by turning their negativity into something that's positive.
Right. Always asking that. It's always that, with the students that I work with, it's always about training them that they can break that negative loop pattern in their mind. They just have to work at it. You get to put the work in.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing those four principles. So that kind of gives an insight of how you are involved in the community. So we're going to talk about a couple organizations that you're a part of. So why don't we start with the American Legion, our good old American Legion?
Absolutely. So I am a member of the American Legion Post 6, and I actually got my membership through my husband, who is a veteran. My father is also a veteran, and so is my brother. So I would have been able to have different avenues to become a member, but I did opt to use my husband's veteran status. Through that, I've actually began my membership through the American Legion Riders about 1.5 years ago. And since then, I have actually become the secretary for the organization. And by becoming the secretary of the organization, I've really gotten really involved. I think that there's a misconception out there amongst people that ride motorcycles that they're just out there, they're part of a gang or whatnot.
Okay.
But that's really not the case. The American Legion Riders are really out there to help support the local community and the veterans. Normally, when you see veterans out there or the American Legion Riders out there riding together in a pack, they're normally riding for a cause. They're normally riding, either participating in some type of poker run or raising money for some type of organization. They do a lot with raising money for children and youth within the community. They raise money to help support veterans, such as providing Christmas stockings for the Dom here at the local VA hospital at Christmas time. You know, through some of the fundraising that we've been able to do, we've been able to provide gift cards for those veterans that actually graduate from the DOMS programs to help them get back on their feet.
That's really nice because we need to support our veterans. We don't know mentally, physically, emotionally what they go through when they are deployed and whatnot. So it's really great that the American Legion and the American Legion Riders support them because, you know, just like everything in America, they kind of get tossed away sometimes. So it's great that we have organizations to, you know, give them the support that they need.
Absolutely. The other thing that the American Legion as a whole does is every Sunday they host a breakfast, which is open to everybody. You do not need to be a member of the American Legion. But they host a breakfast normally from 9 to 11 every Sunday. And the fourth Sunday of every month is dedicated for the American Legion Riders to go ahead and host.
Okay.
So the funds that are raised on the fourth Sunday go to the American Legion Riders, which in turn, those funds go ahead and get put back into the community.
Nice, that's good. So what does the American Legion Riders usually do on their Friday or on their Sundays?
We'll go ahead and do scrambled eggs, French toast. We'll do a variety of different breakfast foods. We normally go ahead and post things on our Facebook page as well as the Prescott page just to get the word out.
Nice, okay. I like that. So you're a rider, and I don't really know anything about motorcycles. So we live in Arizona where, you know, you don't have to wear a helmet and whatnot. So I don't know if you wanted to talk about safety or like how do you ride?
Sure. I definitely ride with a helmet and full gear. So I ride with protective gear on my body. So I ride always with a helmet. I always ride with a jacket that has either special padding or leather gear. And that's just a personal choice. You are correct. Arizona is not a state that requires any type of protective gear except for eyewear.
Okay.
That is one thing that is required here. But you're all right. Arizona is a perfect place to ride. We have perfect weather, normally all year round, but we are starting to see an increase in motorcycle accidents.
Really? Okay.
We are. And, you know, most of the motorcycle accidents here in Yavapai County actually happen between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. And which is very ironic because that's normally the time when people are getting out of work.
Right.
So, you know, I really urge folks to really just be cautious about motorcycles if they're driving in a vehicle, and motorcyclists just to be very cautious when they're riding as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a bummer that there's more accidents here in Prescott. I hope that the drivers can make some time for them and motorcyclists, right? You're like this, where if I'm on my phone, am I driving, I can hit them. So I hope if you're listening, you know, be more aware because you have to share the road. It's like with bicyclists too. So
absolutely, thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you for sharing. So the next organization I want to highlight is the Fraternal Order of Eagles, Post 3600. I'm a member. That's how we met, and that's how we started working together because. You know, if people don't know this, I work for North Point, and Liz and all of the organizations we've been talking about is supporting our senior trip. We don't need to talk about it, but thank you. So, Eagles, you know, I play pool there. I get some cocktails. That's really nice. Have some nice banter. So what's the Eagles all about here in Prescott?
Sure. Our motto is people helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what we do. We are people that help people. We do a lot of fundraising. We use our social room to help offset some of our fundraising to be able to help people within our community. Our biggest charitable organization that we partner with is Casa for Kids. Over the past year, we haven't necessarily been able to donate as many funds as we would like because of COVID being a part of our everyday life. Our social room has not been open as much. And we're also in our transition into our new home, which we're hoping to be open in the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
But with the people helping people, we help an enormous amount of folks within our community. We've been able to help sponsor some additional funding for athletic equipment at the local Prescott High School. We've been able to assist veterans organizations in order to help sponsor getting computers for veterans who are returning to receive additional educational opportunities. We've been able to help the YCSO K9 Foundation. So we do really provide for assistance within our own community.
No, I agree. And like it's the people helping people. When we did the segment for the TV show, it really nails home because when you were talking about transitioning from your new social room, we found out that yes, you can buy alcohol there, but it's at cost, and everything else goes to charity after that. So it's a really interesting kind of fun way to always raise money for the community. And people don't really know about the Eagles either, right?
Right. And, we're really hoping once we do open that we'll be able to highlight a little bit more about what the Eagles do and what we have to offer. We provide a lot of services to the city of Prescott through a lot of our volunteers. We volunteer a lot for a lot of the happenings within the city of Prescott. We volunteer a lot at the organizations and the events around the city, such as the Easter events that happen down at the courthouse, the events that happen down at the Mile High Field, such as Brewfest. Absolutely. We can't forget about that beer.
No.
It's part of our social room. But we love giving back to the community.
Nice. And I am benefiting at North Point. So thank you. I know there are students. Thank you for your generosity. And we'll get information of how to sign up for the Eagles. And, when we're talking about these social clubs, it's easy to go down that rabbit hole where it's like, oh, no, we're going to talk about the Freemasons or like the Illuminati. But it's really like a special thing that all the social clubs that you're a part of, the main focus is charity. So the last thing we want to talk about is the Oddfellows, right?
Yes.
I had no idea what this was until a couple weeks ago, so please enlighten us.
Absolutely. So the premise behind the Oddfellows, really, their premise is to visit the sick and relieve the distressed, as well as bury the dead.
Okay.
And educate the orphans. That's their motto. At our most recent meeting that we had, we were able to go ahead and approve funding for a family that is struggling in order to get their child to school on time. So we were able to provide some funding to help them out. We were able to go ahead and provide funding for an individual within our community who was having a hard time coming up with funding to be able to bury their spouse. So we were able to go ahead and assist with that as well.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of in the Quad City area, there's a lot of people who need that support.
Absolutely.
Everything that you're talking about, I couldn't imagine if I had to bury my wife and I had no money to do that. That would just be another layer of grief or stress that I wouldn't want to deal with. So it's just nice that all these secret organizations, if you will, just help out.
Yes.
And isn't the Oddfellows in Prescott Valley, isn't that number one, post number one?
Yes.
The oldest, right?
Is.
How long has that been around?
I want to say over 100 years.
100 years of, being awesome in our community. That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay, 100 years. Not bad. So Liz, we're about to run out of time, but when we have these talks, I think this is a very serious talk because, people listening out there, there's a lot of unfortunate people out there that just need that support in all aspects of life. And first off, appreciate it to Liz for doing the work, but get out there and go support because, it's like the Eagles say, people help the people, right?
Yes.
So I usually like to end these shows with intentions, and kind of challenge my interviewee or guest, something that they want in this year. So I'm going to ask you that question, Liz. So with all the charity work, whether or personal, what's your intention? What do you want to get out of this year? You're busy, you do a lot of things. You're a very positive person. I admire that. So what do you want from this year?
I would really love to see, especially with the Eagles, to increase the membership, because the more members that we have means the more volunteers, which means the more opportunity for growth and the more volunteers that we can get out there to raise additional funds. So we have additional funds to provide to the community.
Okay, I like that. I think I can promote some memberships of the Eagles because I am a member, and I got the sneak peek of the new social room, and I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a good space, and again, it's good people helping people. So let's get that, Prescott. Let's get that membership up. With that said, thank you, Liz, again for joining our show. Is there any place that our audience can get all the information that you have?
Absolutely. I'll make sure to provide that all to you.
Okay, thank you. With that said, Robert Zinni signing off from Five Senses. You have a great day, Prescott.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Five Senses. These episodes wouldn't be complete without our sponsors and Five Senses Magazine. For more information and more webcasts, log on to 5enses.mag.com. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.